Okay, welcome everybody, and mostly welcome Abby to Me Time. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm a fan, but I'm also like, I'm really struck by what you do for everybody. It's Abbe Feder.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfection.
Is the Fertility Chick on follow her podcast. She also has encircle, right?
Encircle Fertility.
Yeah.
Yep.
To make sure I'm getting all these things right.
You're perfect.
That is not like, well, I'll let you kind of explain what you do, but it is so touching to read about what you do just because this is so personal and it's so layered for everybody. And there's like the side of it that I feel like is all kind of statistics and doctors and recommendations and all of those things. But it's so heavily emotional.
Yes.
On so many levels. Anyway, so speak to that and sort of what you do, and then I have some questions about your me time before we get to the questions of that everybody wrote in and questions I have and everything else.
Okay, great. So I started Encircle Fertility after I emerged on the other side of my insane infertility journey, which was 6 long years. You know, my kids, I did emerge with twins. I have a boy and a girl twin. They're 4.5. They're amazing. And I'm in a little bit of a hiatus of thinking how amazing they are because they both peed on me on an airplane this weekend. I'm still recovering. Yeah.
Both?
They were asleep. In fairness. Like they were asleep, but still.
That says a lot about the twin mind. They're like, yo, we're on schedule, right? We're both going to be at the same time.
It wasn't at the same time. It was a double flight. One did it on one and one did it on the next. Like they really wanted to get me. Wow. Anyway, they're amazing. And when I was going through infertility, I would have prayed. I'm like, if you give me a baby that pees on me every day until they're 40, I'll take it. Like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. So I'm not complaining. I'll take the pee on my legs, but I can talk about it very calmly and happily now because I did emerge on the other side and that doesn't always happen. Right. And I just noticed so many gaps along my journey between clinic and patient, doctor and patient, parents and patient, and parents not knowing how to respond, react, support. All your best friends that say all the wrong things, but really might mean well and might not. And I just felt like I needed to fill this niche. And so I wasn't sure what Encircle was going to be when I started. I just knew that I wanted to figure out what it was going to be. Yeah. So the way that I say it is I hold the hearts and hands of women and couples going through their own fertility journeys. And it can be anything from choosing a treatment and finding a doctor to, calling me to cry because your best friend's pregnant for the second time or third time, or you have a friend that really can't get on board with what you're going through and is very judgmental. And like, maybe you need a boundary there and let's talk about that. So it really runs the gamut, or like, maybe you need a different supplement, or maybe I hate your doctor. You love your doctor. I hate your doctor. I'm going to show you why you should probably get one more opinion, things like that. Just really advocate for yourself. So that is Encircle.
Okay.
It was unexplained infertility, which is brutal. And also great. You're not diagnosed with anything, but also there's like nothing to be done necessarily.
Unexplained infertility. So just there's never you never reach a conclusion of like, it's this or this. Or that. Okay, go on. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And we can get more into that. Many doctors think that doesn't really exist, but for me personally, whether it was true or not, nothing was ever diagnosed. And when I was going through it, I just felt so many gaps in the system. Gap between clinic and patient, doctor and patient, best friend and patient, sister and patient, mother and patient. My closest people who loved me so much were often missing the mark and saying the wrong thing and didn't know the right way to handle it. And I just felt like there was nowhere to share that grief and frustration as an outlet. And so part of why I founded Encircle was to be that outlet for people, for women and couples going through. And the way that I say it is I hold the hearts and hands of women and couples struggling through their own fertility journeys. And it can be like anything from doctors to supplements to calling me to bitch about your cousin who just told you how dumb she thinks IVF is in general, not knowing that you're going through it. I mean, you name it. I've seen it.
I bet.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful thing though. And I feel like that is a whole, like that is a part that's kind of a place that's missing, I think, in this process, just a little bit, something that is just, obviously we all have our therapists and people like that, but specifically something and someone who's been through this process to speak to it on every single level and every single layer of it wherever you are. That's what I loved about reading kind of about what you all do. It's just, I mean, it's the journey's different for everybody, and everybody has a different take and a different perspective and different emotional attachments to different things around it. And like the fact that you kind of speak to, it's just where meeting people where they are in this process is just like, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, so, this podcast is about, me time. We have lots to get to.
Yes.
But I was thinking about you and how you must take on a lot. Like you're helping people, you're dealing with people, you're, in one of the most delicate emotional experiences, whether it's couples, individuals, whoever's going through it. How do you take care of like you in the process?
Yes. So a couple things. I light a lot of sage. There's a lot of sage going on in my house. Like, let me just say that my kids will be like, was somebody burning sage? Like they know.
I love it. Do you say anything while you do it, or do you have it? Is it just like a clearing thing?
Depends. I mostly just clear it. I'm, by the way, like such a diehard New Yorker that a lot of my friends are just like, who are you now? Cause I have like my crystals and my sage and all my stuff, but hey, that's what we're here for, right? California girls.
It is. I do think it is a little West Coasty, but I don't know. I know a lot of New York. I get it. Like there is kind of a mentality just in that kind of the East Coast, West Coast kind of side.
Yeah.
But I do know a lot of people, although they are kind of more West Coast people that have moved to New York that are very into this.
Yeah. I feel like it's also generational. Like my mom and like dad and stepdad and stepmother and siblings even are just like, what are you into now?
Yeah.
But I do believe in it. I believe in energy. I believe in all of it. So the sage is super important to me when I'm like between clients. And logistically speaking, I do try to not book too many Zooms or phone calls together. A lot of my work is in text and I can't help or control when that comes in.
Right.
From very simple things like I take a bath every day, sometimes one, sometimes two. I've always been like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I waited tables for like a million years when I would like forever ago. And I would always take a bath when I got home from work, no matter what time it was, like 2 a.m., 11 p.m., didn't matter. And I just needed it to separate my day from my real life or my work from my real life. And so
it's like the reset time.
It's a reset time. And so every night that was my ritual. And now with my kids, actually, I find the chaos of the morning very stressful sometimes. And so I'll get them to school and I'll come home and take a bath at like 8:30 in the morning to sort of reset to actually start my day.
Oh,
and I take it with Epsom salt every time. And I believe in salt, like salt and water, I think are like two of the most healing, cure-alls out there. And so that I'm big on both of those.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too. Oh, that's my thing. Like salt baths. That's it. And the place I'm in currently doesn't have a bathtub, like just for whatever reason. I know. So, but I'm such a salt person, like a salt and water person, that I will put the Epsom salt or whatever, crystal salt. I have a friend who makes them or whatever into like a little pouch. And I will just sort of like cover myself in it when I'm in the shower, just because I'm so with you in that, like there is something so cleansing about it. Yeah.
I feel like you could make a salt scrub too in some way, like maybe salt and honey. I don't know. Anyway, I'm all about the salt. My mom's
been doing this. She like sent me some the other day and she was like, I'm just trying this thing out. And it was amazing. I was like, Mom, this is great. So yeah.
That's awesome.
If she gets a business going, I'll send you some.
Okay, good. She should get a business going. I feel like everyone needs more salt. I tell clients all the time, like I believe in what I call the salt's cure, which is like cry it out, walk to the ocean, take an Epsom bath or sweat. And like those will make your immediate mood change no matter what. So I'm big on that.
Wow. The salt's cure. I love how you just put that. Okay. Keep going.
Healing.
So, I love that. We are very aligned in our me times. But
I love it.
Is good. But so baths to reset.
Reset. Yeah. I definitely COVID. I've always loved wine. COVID made me far more of a wine drinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it helps me get into my me time. So I'm okay with it.
Do you feel God, we're so similar. Like I talk about how just having a glass of wine here on my balcony sometimes is all I need. And also, but it's also the beginning of like that part of the day. And for some reason for me, there's something about it. It doesn't even have to be more than one glass, even though I'm like you during the pandemic. I reached a point where I was like, oh, it's just because it's the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Like this is this. And then it kind of continued. So I'm
exact same.
Tracking it a little, but that wine, there's something about that moment. Maybe it's like what the cigarette break used to be or something for people that like you could just take that time to, you know, begin whatever portion of like that, like me time. It feels like such a gift. Anyway, go on.
I agree. It feels like such a gift. And then I think some of my me time really involves, from a mental health perspective, just a lot of boundaries. I grew up basically an only child. So I have half siblings and step siblings and in-law siblings, but I'm the only child from my two parents, and no other sibling, half or otherwise, entered my life till I was a teenager. And so I really need a lot of alone time. Like even with my husband, when we were dating, I was like, if you call, like, I really like you. And if you want this to work out, you need to stop calling me so much. Like, I was like, you have a 3 call a week maximum or we're done, basically. And like,
oh my God, I love this.
I need a lot. I've just got used to being the latchkey kid and having a lot of alone time and sort of hibernating a little bit and thinking things through in my own head without interruption and distraction. And I find now with so much going on in my life, I get very easily, overstimulated. And so some of the me time is literally just being like, I just need a timeout. And it's a bathroom break, a closet break, after I put my kids to bed at night, I'm like, I don't talk to anyone or do anything or look at my phone for at least 5 minutes. I need small breaks where I'm just by myself, to sort of reset. Yeah. And a lot of people think it's crazy, or at least they used to. I think now it's a little more accepted, but it was a big adjustment when I got married and had somebody living with me all the time and, had to really put those boundaries out there. But I think it's so important. And I think sometimes we're very afraid to ask for it.
100%. And also it feels weird. I'm like you, but I don't have kids. Like, I'm wondering how you have that. I mean, taking the breaks is great. Like all of that, but that's a big shift.
They're also in school from preschool from like 8 to 5.
Right.
And, God bless preschool and teachers and childcare who don't ever, none of them get enough attention, love, or money.
Right.
It is such a hard job.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it all day, every day. And I love my children so much, but also it was a big adjustment for me, especially going through 6 years of infertility. I assumed I would just want to be with them like all day, every day. And when I didn't, I was like, oh my God, is something wrong with me?
Wow. Right. Of course. No, so this is so it's funny. I have two brothers, but I'm like you, and that I need such an amount of alone time that I do think people are sometimes like, are you sure you're okay? Are you depressed? Are you isolating? Like, what is going on? And look, maybe I have at some times, but I have to carve that out, or I will be better for everyone and everything that I need to do if I take that time for myself. But it is really, really hard to ask for it. Kind of what you're saying. I want to go back to your favorite wines.
Oh God.
I just want to know, what's your favorite daily drinker and or special occasions?
Okay. Daily drinker. My favorite is a wine called Freak Show Cab. Do you know it?
No.
Oh my God.
Love
First of all, it's the best thing to bring to someone's house because they're like, oh my God, is this because I'm a freak show? And it's like everyone has a little joke about it. But they have a Petite Syrah and a Cab that are like perfect 5 o'clock, get your night started, calm down wines.
Love this. I'm literally going to find
They have it like, I feel like they have it at Ralph's, little LA grocery store. Are you in LA right now, by the way?
The Ralph's? Right? Yes, I'm in LA. Okay. Yeah.
There's also a Trader Joe's brand wine called Corvelia. So I love this wine. And, with Trader Joe's, like sometimes you'll go there and one of your favorite things that they always have is gone. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so that was one of them. And I'm like, are you guys not ordering more? And they were like, it's not that we order it. We actually produce that wine. It just doesn't say it on the bottle. And so they were waiting to produce more, but it's really good. Like if you're like a nice big red, which is what I do mostly those are my go-tos. And then summer, I'm like a rosé and Sauvignon Blanc. Like you can't really go wrong on either one. Rosé, you can't go wrong on a rosé.
You can't? No.
Yeah. So
I love.
What about you?
I mean, I'm sort of all over the place. I would say right now I'm on a big, okay, so if I'm drinking alone, I tend to I'm like, oh, I'm not going to open the super expensive bottle but I'm very into like a summery, like Albarino. Do you know this?
Love an Albarino.
And I have found a couple that are both like under $20 and just so, I love a salty white. So I love an Acertico from Greece as well. I tend to start in the white and move to the red. So and then I'm into sort of lighter, like a Beaujolais or Gamay right now, or like a chilled red. And I love this. I love that this has just become a wine podcast.
I know.
It's a Cremant de Jura. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, wait, am I butchering that? No, that's what it is called. And same thing. It's like very affordable. It's like a champagne. It's not a champagne, but I love a sparkly. And so
I love a sparkly too.
Yeah. So that's another, those are sort of in the like daily, like, because I don't feel too guilty opening the bottle alone or, for my alone time. And I'm not like opening a super expensive bottle that might go bad or something. Right. Although that's what I guess a Coravin's for. Do you have a Coravin?
No.
Oh, you need a Coravin.
What's a Coravin? Is it the yes, I do a Vertivin. I call it a Vertivin, but it's like where you suck out the air.
No, even better. It puts almost like a needle through the cork so that you can just have a glass and it preserves the rest of the wine. It's one of the greatest wine inventions ever. I just discovered it not long ago myself. And they just came out with one for champagne. Because champagne is like a day, right? Or like sparkling is like a day. And you're like, So no. So basically Coravin, if you're listening, we love you.
We need you. We need you, Coravin.
So we need you, Coravin. But yeah, so the champagne one I was very skeptical about and it works wonders. And but the regular for the non-sparkling, because the champagne one it's a whole contraption, but the other one is like to be able to have a glass, like it's especially great at like if you want to have some people over and do like a tasting. That way you're just not pouring, you don't have to worry about pouring the whole bottle. If people don't like it, like I don't know. Anyway, cannot say enough about it.
Love it. Yeah, definitely gonna look into it immediately.
You need a Coravin. Yeah, you need a Coravin for your me time.
I do.
Anyway,
the hashtag for this whole episode should just be hashtag I need a Coravin for my me time.
Hashtag everyone needs a Coravin for their me time. Who drinks wine? Anyway, I love this. I was going to ask you like your 3 favorite things, but I feel like, unless you want to sort of, I have 3. One of the questions I ask is always like, what are 3 things you can't live without right now? Obviously your kids, obviously your family, obviously all of that. But I'm talking like a lotion or like a thing, which we can come back to it if you want, because I realize these are not questions I sent you. Unless
whatever you want, I can tell you or not. Like
tell me.
Okay.
Tell me.
Well, one is Epsom salt. Like I need it everywhere. And I will tell you a little anecdote about my fertility journey to bring it back in, which is one of my acupuncturists of many who I loved and was umigumi. Another way to use Epsom salt is like if you're having bad energy or something bad, or like for me, it was the infertility, you put it in little corners of your house. It can be in bowls or just like on the floor. And you speak into it all the negative shit you're going through. And then you let it sit there and like absorb the negative stuff and then vacuum it up like in a week. Isn't that amazing? This. And so I just like, again, back to the salt, like there's so many wonderful healing uses for it. So I cannot live without my Epsom salt.
Can I tell you a crazy similar story to that?
Yes.
Like, okay, it's not salt, but I want to practice this. So I talked to this kind of like healer person who was like, it doesn't matter. I've been like my dog passed like a year and a half ago and I've just had like grief around it. And I've had like certain things that I'm like attached to the whole era that she was in my life that I'm sort of like, I actually want to let go of some of these thoughts. I want to let go of some of these feelings, not of her, but just like I'm in a bad spin about whatever. And so she was like, then like bury those thoughts, like go. And I'm like, I live in an apartment. I have like a balcony with some plants. So bury it in the thing. So this is what I did. I have a plant that for whatever reason, I could not keep alive. Mm-hmm. Like I loved this beautiful olive plant, but I don't know, for whatever reason. So it had just been sitting dead in this pot for a long time. I wrote all this stuff out. I planted this thing deep in this soil of this dead plant. And I kid you not, the thing is thriving and green as can be. It's as if it took all the stuff and just made a new life out of it and was like, oh, anyway. So I'm a big believer in these. Like,
I love that.
Throw your stuff, give it to the salts, let the salt cleanse, give it to the earth, let the earth replant it, seed it in some way. Anyway, okay, let's go.
I love it. Okay, so then in terms of creams, so I'm obsessed currently with the Versed, very inexpensive and really high quality, Versed cleansing balm. I don't know if you've ever tried it.
No.
You can get it like anywhere. I think I get mine at Target. And it smells like eucalyptus oil, and it's a cleansing balm, which I just have become like obsessed with.
Love.
So you put it on like dry skin, right? You put it on dry, and you just like, it feels like oil, like you're just wiping, it gets all your makeup off. And then you just take like a hot washcloth and get everything off with it. And some people do a double cleanse, like they'll clean again after. For me, unless I'm wearing a bunch of makeup, I don't need to do that, but I find it incredibly soothing on the skin. It smells so good. And I'm really OCD about ingredients, and it's like all clean ingredients.
I love it. Okay. This is great.
Hot tip, right? Epsom salt, Versed cleansing balm. And then I'm thinking between I used to actually sell skincare like forever ago. And one of their products is like my be all end all nighttime oil, which is Ever Skincare Retinol Overnight Oil.
Okay.
Now, if you're going through infertility or pregnancy or breastfeeding, you can't use retinol. Right. But if you're not, it is the best, most luxurious overnight oil out there, because they put the actual retinol concentrate into like, I think it's Bulgarian rose oil. So it's like not harsh on your skin. And I think it gets rid of every wrinkle out there.
I'm obsessed. Yeah. And I'm going to, I'm literally going to find all of those products.
Yeah. And I'll send them to you. Yeah. I'll send you links. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that'll kind of maybe lead me into then, so fertility talk, and also maybe in that line, and then we'll get into like kind of more in-depth questions too. But like, okay, if you had to like recommend a couple of things, like in terms of like preserving or taking the best care, we're talking about wine, we're talking, lifestyle. And I know this is just genetic, like there's so many other factors, obviously, like that it would be hard to say, like it's such an individual thing to each person. But if like you had any sort of recommendations, and if you don't, that's okay too. But like in terms of products, lifestyle, and things, vitamins, supplements, anything that you can just sort of take to keep the best preservation of your eggs and all the things.
I feel like I could do a full episode on each one of those categories. So to get them all like squeezed together, I would say I personally don't believe any one thing in those categories is going to be the be all end all, but I do believe it's all a very holistic approach. So you want to keep yourself as clean as possible. And this goes for whether you're a man, a woman, a non-binary person, whether you want to have children, whether you don't. The ingredients in our world are actually extremely toxic. Now, I believe in doing these things to the best of your ability and not making yourself insane over them. So I'll have a client who's like, okay, well, do you think that I need to switch every single container in my house from plastic to glass? Like, no, I don't think you need to do that today, but I do think that you should start small. And if you know that you want to start having children sooner rather than later, then you want to clean up your egg quality and you want to clean up your sperm quality. And so, glass dishes and lotions and containers are going to be much healthier. And I love that there are so many companies out there that know this now and are providing better, containers, products. Thank you. Products and education about the products and what the ingredients are. Like, I do think it's actually super important. So a big one is like filter water. Don't drink water out of plastic. We should be drinking, like, water for me is like, if you can only do one thing, put your water in a mason jar or any kind of glass. Do not drink it out of plastic in any way, shape, or form. I feel like the idea is to get it into every cell of your body. So you don't want those plastics going into every cell of your body.
Right. What about metal?
Metal works too. Metal. Okay. I always go to glass, but you're right. It could be metal. What's really good for you is copper. I know. I'm just learning this. So there's a whole Ayurvedic practice of putting room temperature water in a copper water bottle at night before bed, and then letting the copper like absorb into the water all night long and waking up and drinking it first thing in the morning is supposed to be amazing for your body.
Oh my gosh. I did not know this. I love this.
I just learned about this recently. So I just started. But yes, metal's great too. And like the straws, my family's big on straws. We carry our silicone or metal straws everywhere we go. Love it. And supplements like definitely, I believe in all of them. I'm like, yeah, you need every single one out there.
Prenatal, CoQ10, but like,
Yes.
if you're not actually going through the process and you're just in your regular life, is there just is it multivitamin? Is it just, when I say regular life, when you're just not in the actual process of whether it's egg freezing, IVF, or trying to have a baby, is there something you can just sort of keep up with?
Yes. So I think that any woman that might want to have kids ever should be on a prenatal. So you can start in your 20s, even if you don't want to have kids quite yet.
Okay.
Because it gives a better supply of what you need as a woman than a regular multivitamin, right? So extra vitamin D, each one's different, but they'll have things. Some of them will have like a higher level of folate or whatever the case may be. And it's not going to harm you. So when the time does come, you're ready. Or if you get pregnant, which I barely know anyone that happens to, but let's say you are one of those miraculous people, you get pregnant, your body's ready, you're prepared for it. So I think any woman of reproductive age that ultimately might want to have kids or might consider having kids should be on a prenatal.
Got it.
Vitamin D, no matter what, even if it's in your prenatal, like we are so deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah.
I think
every day.
It's like I take like 5,000 IU every day.
Oh, wow.
You can overdo vitamin D, so you want to keep an eye on it. But it's rare that like with 5,000, you're going to overdo it. So sometimes a prenatal will come with generally 2,000, 3,000, and I will take a separate supplement of vitamin D.
Yeah.
And then when you are preparing for actual procreation, you do want to take CoQ10. And by the way, sperm also benefits from CoQ10 and vitamin D.
Whoa.
So yeah. So CoQ10 is basically a crazy potent antioxidant. So, like everything that's advertised as an antioxidant, it's like anti-aging. It keeps cells from getting toxicity. It keeps all the free radicals out. Well, that's what it's doing for your sperm and your eggs. So there's no harm in taking it. And it's really good for both egg and sperm quality. And
that's so good to know.
Yeah, really important. It's also really good for like cholesterol, heart health, all these other things. So again, like if you just want to be a healthy person, take it and make sure you're taking it if you want to procreate.
Wow. This is so helpful. So we have questions, obviously, from fans and people, but our listeners, I should say, not fans. This isn't psych.
Well, they're obviously fans.
I mean, one of the questions somebody asked was kind of a question I have as well. There is this kind of push on embryos. And that there's just sort of a safe, not that it's safer, but just like a hardier, they seem to have a better chance of surviving the thaw. And, so like when you're in your 40s, every relationship, everything now is in this sort of space of, well, if I'm doing that, then I fall into this, like, this speaks more to like the side probably that you can help, or that you take the emotional side of it, is that even in every relationship, there's this kind of panic of, if this isn't the one, then I have to find the thing. Like there isn't that like kind of time to just breathe right now. And so I feel this constant pressure. And now that I'm here, I'm sort of like, okay, I do feel a little more ready for going back and exploring all of these options. But then someone recently said to me as well, like, why don't you just wait and do IVF? You probably have a better when you're ready than sort of freezing now and going. What do you make of all of that?
So very personal choice, different for everybody, but general terms. Let's say you meet a man that you want to procreate with and you do IVF that, like I would still probably start with IVF at that point, whatever point it is.
Okay. Even if the eggs are frozen?
Even if the eggs are frozen, maybe like we'll get more, let me work backwards. So assuming that you're, let's say 45 when that happens, maybe some miracle happens, but if it doesn't, I would not wait a long time and I would go right in and get all the testing
everything
done.
I can.
Yes. The reality is, yes, embryos have a much higher success rate of longer term preservation. And the reason why is exactly what you said. When you freeze eggs, first of all, the amount of eggs that they tell you to freeze is often not enough. And that's like my number one pet peeve. Because they're like, yeah, just freeze eggs. You'll have an insurance policy. And some people get 4 and they're like, I'm good. I'm going to have 4 kids. And you're like, no, that's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
So yes, they need to get frozen. And then when you're ready to fertilize them, they need to be thawed, fertilized. Then you see what happens. And you might discover then that sperm and those eggs aren't a match. So there's still I know.
Wow. Wait, so like they can reject each other?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I know. So, which is why if you still have eggs at 45, when this mystery man comes into your life, it's a great place to start because you're starting with an embryo. You're just giving yourself a better shot. At the same time, they can be fertilizing the eggs and see what happens.
Yeah.
Or you could do like a month where you fertilize and not, but like most fertility doctors will advise you to start with a fresh, see what happens together.
Yeah.
And then you can go backwards from there. And that's why it is called an insurance policy, but you have to really understand that it's not an insurance guarantee. It's an insurance hope.
Right.
And I don't think it's often explained that way.
One of the questions somebody wrote was, which I think is really interesting, just because even in my friends and people I know that have gone this route, is she was like, what are the things they don't tell you? Like, what is that? Like, what are the realities of egg freezing that like, you're not getting the information? I don't even know if you're comfortable. Like,
well, that's it. I mean, that's the biggest one. The biggest one is that you'll do a cycle and you'll get like 5. And I just wish the doctors would tell you what the stats are on those 5, that I'm thinking specifically about a really good friend of mine who, when I was going through one of my IVF cycles, was going through an egg freezing cycle.
Okay.
And we were at the same doctor, and I met this doctor through this friend. So it was a close friend of hers.
Uh-huh.
And because this close friend knew her, because the doctor knew my friend so well, I think she got like 9 eggs the first time. And the doctor was like, we're going to keep going until you have more than 20. Because she could comfortably say that to her because it was her good friend. But I don't think doctors say that to patients. No. And so they don't know. And so if I'd gotten 9, I would think I'm in great shape. But the reality is, like, the attrition rate from 9 down to what might become a viable embryo can be, might get none, you might get 1, you might get 2. Right. And so she had my friend go until she had more than 20 eggs so that she knew she was going to have more options. And I wish they would make everybody do that.
Yeah. And I would, or at least tell you that, because when you start the process, I know at least my experience when I've started the process of these, it's always sort of been like, so, if you do 1, great. You may only have to do 1, but it wasn't always, I think there were a couple times I went that it was like, look, you could have 20 something from what we're looking at right now. Yes. And, but it was never, and then there were less than that. Other times that I looked, it was sort of, but each time they made it sound like that would be plenty.
Right.
To do kind of 1 and out. And this is very interesting. Now, so let's talk about it at 22, 32, 42. Is there a time where a fertility expert would ever say, don't do it?
Don't freeze?
Yeah. Or no? Would they say
I don't think I would ever say don't freeze. I mean, here's what it is. It's like quality and quantity are 2 very different things. So you could get 15 eggs at 22 and 15 eggs at 32 and 15 eggs miraculously maybe at 42.
Yeah.
And only at 22, 10 of them become viable embryos. At 32, 5 of them become viable embryos. And at 42, 1 or 2 of them become. So, we're born with all the eggs we'll ever have, which I did not know until I was going through infertility. So I was like a 34 or 33, 34-year-old woman before I learned that. And by the way, my father is like a biologist, had no clue. I went to a STEM high school, had no clue. So
you're just born with the eggs. I think I have heard this. And then, so that gets in my head a little bit of wait, so what if I'm freezing my eggs? Then I'm taking some of that reserve.
That's good. But you're taking them out and getting them while they're 42. So that if you're 45 and want to have a baby, they're younger. The age is that you take them out is the age that they are.
Right.
And so, yes, you are born with all of your eggs. And so over time, the quality of the egg starts to diminish. And that's what the issue is, not quantity at 42.
Yeah.
It's which of them will be quality, because each month when we menstruate, the lead follicle has grown, and survival of the fittest, that's the one that pushes out. And so the best quality ones come out earlier.
Right.
And so later in life, you're left with ones, doesn't mean they're bad, but they might not be the best of the best. And so the issue with the age is much less quantity, although that can be an issue, and much more so quality.
So what is ideal? I have friends, so many friends who wrote in at all different ages, kind of asking questions sort of about I sent you some of these, which you can sort of go through, but one of the big questions I have that I feel like I've been told quite a bit. Does the birth control pill keeps your, I
saw that question come in and I was like, oh, that would be so nice. But you say the question, which I think was
Does
the
it
birth
preserve?
control pill, right? Does it preserve? I wish it did. That would be so amazing. And that would be like the birth preserving pill too.
Right. Yes.
But
And
if you,
so logically though, part of it, like when the doctor would say like, well, it keeps your ovaries quiet. You're like, oh, that makes sense. Cause they're not really releasing an egg. And so
right. But they're still sitting in there. It totally does. You're like,
right.
oh, well, if I just hide them inside and they don't come out, then they're just going to stay there. And right.
Yeah.
I get that. But the time is still passing. And so
Right.
they are still aging. And that's
Right.
the thing.
Right.
The
Okay.
thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go through some of these. I might come back with some follow-up questions, but let me go through what people have asked. So, at-home fertility test kits. Legit?
So they're legit. Look, much like supplements, I believe in the ingredients. Thank you. Like quality of ingredients are not all created equal. And similarly with these fertility tests, they are legit. And there's so many amazing modern technological ones out there now that they all kind of have to step up their game to be legit. But what are you testing for? Yes, it depends on what you're testing for. If you're testing to see if you ovulated, you no longer have to go to a doctor for that. You can pee at home and there's now a test where it can tell you what your progesterone level is, which proves whether you ovulated or not. Right. It used to just be whether you're surging to see if you're ovulating. So there are ones out there. I would not count on them exclusively if you're really pushing to get pregnant or it's been a long time or you're on the older side. Right. But if you want your basic vitamin D or thyroid levels or you're just getting started and want to know what your baseline is, it's a good place to start. That's
good to know.
And I would definitely do your research because a lot of times you'll find in the marketing, this was invented by gynecologists. And then it turns out this is not true, by the way. This is just an example, but they were actually gynecological fellows when they decided that maybe they would come. It's not always marketed the exact way that it is. So you really do want to do your deep dive if it's something you plan to count on as a result from a test,
Okay, cool. That's really good to hear. I like that it's sort of like, if you want some baseline early stuff, just, you're not even, versus if you're getting really into it, just go get all the,
get it done by a doctor, get the big guns out. Exactly.
Okay. What impact do autoimmune diseases, that you're aware of anyway, have on fertility?
Great question. So autoimmune issues basically mean that there are various ones. There's lupus.
I'm celiac.
Crohn's,
I have a friend who's dealing with MS. I have a friend who has, lupus. I have a friend who's dealing with that. Yeah.
So they all work a little bit differently. There's not a one size fits all answer to this question, and every body works differently. But what can happen if you have an autoimmune disorder is that when something foreign comes into your body, your immune system attacks it in a way to protect you.
Yeah.
And so, your egg is yours, but the sperm is technically foreign. And so if an embryo comes in, which is egg and sperm together, your body's attacking it and basically rejecting it.
Whoa.
And so, I know.
I did not know this.
Yes. But there are ways around it. And some people think it's total BS, but I also know that I used an autoimmune protocol for my successful transfer and I don't have a known autoimmune disease, but they just did I went through so many failed IVF cycles that they were like, we're going to put you on this protocol just in case your immune system is doing something weird.
Oh, okay.
Where they literally suppress your immune system so that you take steroids and Pepsid and allergy medicine so that your immune system's in overdrive and can't reject anything. And then they transfer. So there is a way to manage it. You just have to know what's going on. And there are ways that they can test for it, et cetera.
Yeah. It's interesting because with celiac, I am not, I test every year just to make sure my levels have stayed whatever, because I just don't eat gluten. And so I feel as long as I stay in that state, if I'm in the kind of all the levels are normal place, it's probably okay. Then when it's activated, if I've had gluten or something has gone, it's complicated.
Right. It's complicated.
This thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. How can you have clues into your fertility without constantly checking? So are there signs or is there? Yeah.
So, really it starts with education so much earlier than we're getting it. Good education so much earlier than we're getting it. It starts with medical care providers that listen to you and advocating for yourself. And I know the world is just starting to change into this better model. Yeah. But it's, if your periods are not normal, and by normal, I hate the word normal, but regular 28 day or 32 day, if you're not getting your period every month from a young age, we're not encouraged to talk about that. And we need to be, because it's a sign something's wrong. So if you have a lot of fatigue, it's possible that you have a thyroid issue. I mean,
right.
I don't want you to jump to conclusions, but like all these things are possible. And so you need to find a medical provider that listens to you and wants to do this testing and makes you feel safe and comfortable to talk about any of it.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that's like the sign that I mean, that feels like an obvious sign, but I bet it isn't, because you hear about irregular periods, you hear about it, and no alarms really go off around it. Like,
right. And then all of a sudden you're trying to get pregnant and, you know, you're 36 and you're like, oh my God, why didn't this get diagnosed 18 years ago?
Yeah.
Right. Or like endometriosis on average takes 10 years to diagnose. It's really hard. So and sometimes people with endometriosis are asymptomatic. And so it really is being very in tune with your body and finding somebody that is a medical professional that you feel comfortable talking to. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but I just want to like scream from the rooftops how important both of those are.
Wow. I'm so happy to know you. I'm literally like, so is the biological fertility clock theory still applicable today since we are living for a longer amount of time?
It is. I mean, you know, again, it goes back to these aging eggs. I wish that like Darwinism and the survival of the fittest, like as we're getting older, having babies, like medical society would, our biological would evolve. And and maybe it will, who knows?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right now, it's still there. In my podcast, I actually interviewed last week somebody who said a quote so perfectly, which was like, I feel like nobody took me seriously in my career till I was 30.
Yeah, I listened to this. Rachel.
It was Rachel.
Oh my
Morrison.
God, it was such a great episode.
Wasn't it good? Thank you.
What a beautiful, anyway, go on. I listened.
Well, yeah, I mean, she said, she's like, no one took me seriously by 30 and I had to make my mark by 40, which are the exact 10 years I had to like have my family.
Yeah.
And she was very persistent and lucky that she was able to achieve both in that amount of time, but it was a lot. It was a lot. She needed a lot of support and resources to make that happen.
Yeah. That was a wild story. In fact, it was the first I kind of heard about, is it ICI?
ICSI? Yeah. ICSI. Yes.
ICSI. Yeah. And I learned a lot through that, listening to that podcast. You all should listen to the Fertility Chick, anybody. Just because it's like they cover the things you haven't even heard about. And like that it's also speaking to that thing about, I think with women too, where, you know, hitting that, you know, there's that career side and being like, oh, I'm in this now, but I'm also, I have this window to do this. And also I don't have the partner that I want to do this. And so now I'm in this, you know, everything feels very like, for lack of a better phrasing, like do or die. Like it's not,
stakes are very high.
Stakes are very high. That's a better way of saying it.
Totally. Yeah. And especially with ART, assisted reproductive technology, or any kind of fertility treatment, like you were saying, at this point you get into a relationship and you're like, well, either we're going to do this or we're not if I want to be a mom. So, right. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's why it can be so hard on relationships too, because once you've upped the stakes within your marriage, I remember with my husband, like any little flaw I would see, I'm like, why are we spending, you know, $100,000 when I'm just going to have a kid with that same flaw? You know, like everything is like so serious that like the stakes are just so high along the way, you know? Yeah.
It's weird too, because like I don't have a panic about it for some reason, and that's something that I've like been trying to pay attention to. That's why I'm trying to look at every single option I have to kind of hold this as long as I can, like to be able to have the option for as long as possible, because I'm almost curious about this within myself. But I also know that it's this thing that I'm like, oh, I want to be able to. Obviously, we all do, to be able to do this for as long as possible. Yeah. So it's sort of like trying to figure, I love talking to you. Okay. So, all right, here's another 32 and single, recently contacted an IVF clinic in the hopes of freezing my eggs. But the lady at the clinic did advise me that it would be better to do an embryo freeze. She said that I would be able to use a donor. In my heart, I thought I would have been married by now, but since that hasn't happened, should I give up on that dream and go ahead with a sperm donor? Please advise.
This was a crazy one to me because you could, but like, I don't understand the advice. Like just get a donor. Like that's no big thing. Like, oh, just pick out a number and like do it that way. I mean, this is a big decision. And by the way, I know so many incredible beautiful donor stories, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can just be like, well, should I freeze eggs or should I get somebody random that I may or may not end up with, which I mean, not that you'll end up with your sperm donor, but like, should I hope that one day, 32 is young. You might still meet your person.
Oh, young.
42 is young.
I'm literally, hey, thank you. Yeah. But I'm with you. Like, I was shocked when I read that one too. Like, wait a second. Also, I feel like for me, part of freezing eggs, say versus embryos, although like I'm kind of open, but what
if you do it that way and then you meet your person?
Yeah.
Right.
So complicated. That one's really complicated.
It is.
We'll blow through these because I know it's like getting late and whatever.
Okay, I know.
And migraines, something that are usually triggered with birth control. Are migraines something that are triggered with birth control? I struggle with them, and recently told the PCPs won't do anything for migraines unless you suffer from them at least once a week.
Hormones will give you headaches, so that's possible. And the pill can give you a headache, and they can all give you migraines. But this goes back to what you heard, that a PCP won't help you unless it's weekly, or a PCP told you they won't help you until it's weekly.
Right.
If a PCP tells you that directly, find a new PCP, primary care physician, just to be clear. Yeah. This is a perfect example of what we were just saying. Like, that is a sign that something's going on. You might have some kind of hormonal imbalance, and you should absolutely not just ignore it and be like, oh, well, they won't treat it unless it's weekly, so I guess I can't get help. Don't do that.
Right. Okay. And then how does one handle a doctor who constantly asks them when they go into their OBGYN if they're having children or when or what the deal is? Now, I kind of relate to, because my doctor kind of does the same thing, because she's like, I'm going to advise you, but I would like to advise you in what you want in your life. Like, I might advise you differently on certain things if you are working toward having a baby soon versus if you're like, no, I'm not having kids.
Totally. This is like my tough love life coach response, which is, if you're making it mean something annoying and frustrating, it has to do with how you're thinking about procreating and not your doctor, because your doctor should be asking you those questions.
Right. Okay.
For exactly the reason that you just said. If the doctor is like, well, do you know if you might, like, they might want to encourage you to freeze your eggs if you can, or to make sure that your hormones are tested, which I wish every doctor would do that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that the doctor's asking that.
Yeah.
If it's annoying you or frustrating you, I think it has to do with your own feelings or uncomfortability about it. And I don't mean you personally. I mean, whoever asked this question.
No, of course.
Right. And that's okay too. Maybe it does make you uncomfortable, but I think what they're saying is, like, if you know you don't want kids, that's one thing. If you're not sure, that's a whole nother thing that we're going to keep on the radar. And I'm actually really glad that your doctor's asking.
Yeah. My doctor will be like, these are questions for your fertility doctor. Like, go there and then let them kind of sort this out, because I don't want to, you have this, you might need to take care of, or that you might need to take care of. And I want to advise, I think they're the expert on advising you if you want to have children, that's who you should be speaking to about it. I could talk to you all day.
I know.
And I'm so sorry. It's like so late, and I know your brain's like already fried or whatever, but I so appreciate, was this okay? Like, just literally asking you a gazillion questions about all the things. There's something about the way you kind of approach and talk about this that feels so disarming and open and easy. And I just want everyone, like, they should follow you and talk to you and encircle all of it. And I didn't even ask you all the things I wanted to ask about your journey as well. But like, I think we may just have to have let's have a rotating visit from you.
We'll do it. I love it.
And then let's have some freak show wine sometime soon.
And we could start with something lighter and work our way into it. I'm just saying.
I don't know if we need to. I love it. Not at this point. It's so fun. Okay. Everyone, thank you all so much for listening. Abbe, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I didn't cover anything you would want to add, or do you just want to come back and hang out?
Yeah, we'll do it another time.
And
if more questions come in, first of all, they can come to me at the Fertility Chick, or they can come to you. And like, as soon as we bank some, we can always come back and hash them out too.
I love it. And I'm going to keep you posted too on,
I didn't want to ignore that. Yeah, I didn't want to ignore that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Abbe.